Okay, so the first thing to do is to put the board on the hot plate. Alright, now it's on the hot plate. Before it gets too hot, good to add some alcohol, clean off all those pads, get off any oxidation. There is like a gold layer on there, but you get some grease, you get some dust, clean it off. That really seems to help. Now the board's heating up, so it's on the hot plate, and you can spread on that flux. Good to do it really fast before you get any oxidation. I'm going to clean off the soldering iron tip. Make sure that it's really nice and clean. Put on a good blob of solder on the tip, and then start putting solder on those pads. The idea here is that we want solder on every pad. This is unleaded solder, 6337 solder. It'll get on all those pads. It's under a microscope so we can see whether we've got a little blob of solder sticking to each of those pads. Some of those pads are ground pads, and there's a huge ground plane on this board, so we really need it on the hot plate in order to get those pads hot enough for the solder to stick. That was kind of key. And we'll make sure it's nice and even. Clean off the tip, and then we'll try to get some of that solder off of there before we wick the rest away in the next step, but kind of get as much off of there as possible, and this helps even it out a bit. Alright, then we're kind of done with that step. Next it goes to off the hot plate, but while the board is still hot, under another microscope. I'm using 850 degrees Fahrenheit iron in the last step and this step, basically as hot as you can. You don't want to burn any pads, so we'll be really fast. And the idea here is we're going to add a little bit of flux, and we're going to wick away any excess solder blobs that were sitting on those pads. We want them all nice and even and flat so that the BGA chip can sit on there and all the pads can make contact with all the balls, and we'll have no issues. So yeah, just get all those pads nice and flat, nice and even, and beautiful. Alright, next step, we're gonna get rid of that old flux, wash away any junk that was under there with some alcohol, rub it nice and clean. I'm using like a Kim wipe there. You don't want to leave any like dust on the board or anything like that. Add a little new flux, not too much, not too little. I'm using a static free brush there to just spread it out. Make sure it's on all the pads. Again, you want to do that as fast as possible so you don't get any oxidation going on. And then we're going to grab an ADC, and we're going to wipe some flux, just a little bit on all those pads, just for good luck. Helps it kind of stick a little bit better. And we'll line it up. Make sure you've got the right rotation. Dot on the top left is matching the dot on the top left. And we'll kind of hold it down just in the right place with my fingers, and then use some tweezers that aren't so sticky so it doesn't go flying off the board when you pull your fingers up. You're done. Then you put it in the IC heater, and we run a Wave 3 profile on that on our T962, and it's in the oven, and off it goes.